And oh, it's on. I'm here, so we are live. And good evening, everyone, and welcome to Conversations with Curtis, our edition for the month of June. First month officially of summer, at least will be coming, and we're so excited to be with you, bringing you more cool jazz as the temperature heats up. And we are very excited to have with us our special guest tonight that I'll introduce in a few minutes. The man I call my brother from another mother, trumpeter Mark Rapp. But before we get to that, I just want to let you know and pay a very, very special thanks to our sponsors that make Conversations with Curtis possible. And that is, of course, the Knight Foundation, the Arts and Science Council, the North Carolina Arts Council, and O's Place Magazine. We thank them all for their continued support and making sure that jazz continues to live here in Charlotte, baby. Also, we want to thank our sponsors. I shouldn't say our sponsors. I want to thank those who have donated to JazzArts Charlotte. Yes, our sustainers, our benefactors, our maestros, our arrangers, our composers, our soloists, and our aficionados. All of whom we thank you, we appreciate you, and our Jazz Arts corporate sponsors that you see there. We thank and appreciate you once again for all of your support of jazz, of America's true classical art form. So, speaking of people who are great at what they do, I am so excited to have this cat here with us. He has been a friend of us at JazzArts Charlotte, well, pretty much since the beginning of the Jazz Room. He was our featured artist in our very second Jazz Room, not our first, but our second one. And he has been with us a number of times since, doing all kinds of great things, and a man who truly is doing his part more than anything else to keep jazz alive in the Carolinas and beyond. Very happy to have my brother from another mother, trumpeter Mark Rapp, and also a proponent of the didgeridoo. I'm gonna get it right one day, man.
You got it. You got it, man.
All right, so Mark, man, it's good to see you. Good to have you with us. And also, I forgot to tell everybody in the introduction, also a new daddy.
That's right.
So that's right, man. Congratulations. So before anything else, because no matter what, jazz, everything else, that pales in comparison to your new little bundle of joy. So tell us a little bit about how's fatherhood treating you now? First of all, how old is your little beauty at this point?
Yeah, we might get her to make an appearance if she isn't already gone to bed. We'll try to get her out here. Maybe we'll see.
Track, right?
Yeah, she is 4 months old, 4 months and a couple of days. Yeah, it's amazing. It's a whole new world. I thought I was busy before, and with her, man, it is epic. It is absolutely epic. I mean, you get so tired, you feel it in your bones, and but then she gives you that little smile, and you're awake and alive to see. Oh, here she is. Yeah, we'll make an appearance.
All right.
It was Amelia Rapp.
Amelia.
That's my wife, Claire.
Hello, Claire. Hello, Amelia. Amelia, how are you? She is absolutely beautiful. Yeah, Amelia's looking at, who are these people?
Yeah, who are you?
So good to see her. So awesome, man. Congratulations once again. I'm sure I speak for everybody, not only at JazzArts Charlotte, all of our viewers and everybody who may see this in the future. We congratulate you, and we are so happy for you and your growing family. Because as I said, jazz is important, but nothing tops little Amelia, man. So
right on.
Congratulations on that.
Right on. Well, jazz teaches you a lot of lessons on how to deal with a newborn baby and how to deal with a new family dynamic. Because jazz teaches you how to listen, right? How to be patient, how to be firm in what you have to say, but also be willing to go, okay, I may have been wrong by saying that. Yeah. So yeah, man, jazz is very, very important in all aspects of life. Yeah, and just today I had on some YouTube videos, and Amelia was just like, the saxophone came on, and she immediately went, shoo, and she was just like checking it out. And I said, "Oh, okay, you like that sound?" So she was glued. She was just checking out that. Man, it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to watch a young, baby discover the world for the first time. And it helps you see the world differently and to, honestly get a lot of perspective And for me, I'm starting to notice that it helps me as a performer, as a player. You know, I'm not so anxious or stressed or trying to be so hip when I play or something. You know, I'm just like, man, I'm just in the moment like a baby is, you know, just in the moment, like discovering what is happening. Like, what did that guitar player just do? Oh, that was cool. I don't have to play right now. I'm just going to listen. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to react, you know? Anyway.
No, that's cool. No, keep on, man. No, I'm digging it, man. You know, you know, this is it. This is our chance. As I've told you know, the pre-show. This is our chance just to kick it and talk about what's going on with you. So, you know, that's what's on your mind, and that's what's going on, and that's that truly is a beautiful thing to have Miss Amelia around. And also, one other thing I'm sure she's taught you that jazz teaches you is how to expect the unexpected. Right?
Oh, I've had the unexpected poop all over my lap, and and then how to deal with that with class and sophistication and soul.
Well, there you go, man. But I know as cool as you are, you've got that under control too, man. You know?
Ain't nothing but a thing, man. I played the blues a lot better that night.
So there you go.
It was a little dirtier than normal.
yeah, some dirty blues. There you go. So Mark, let's start. As I said in the beginning, in the opening, you've been associated with us at JazzArts Charlotte since at least in terms of the jazz room and everything we've done since our infancy. So let's even go back before that. How did you first become associated with our founders, with Lonnie and Osi? How far do y'all go back? I'm sure it was before just that jazz room. What is it? I guess 8 years ago now. So
yeah,
7, 8 years. Yeah.
I know Lonnie and OC from my time in New Orleans. So we're both at the University of New Orleans together. So we knew each other then, and you know knew of each other and stuff, and so it goes all the way back to when was New Orleans time? I don't even remember. Like, what was that? Like early 2000s. No. It was late 90s. It was late 90s. Holy crap! It was late 90s. It was like 96 to 2000. Because then I moved to New York in 2000.
Okay.
Yeah. So after that, I kind of fell out of touch with them, and then Katrina happened, and they relocated up to Charlotte, and then I had my own personal life Katrina happen, and that ended me back in the Carolinas. And then I come to find out, I was like, man, there's this hip new jazz organization in Charlotte. And I was like checking it out. I was like, oh my God, that's Lonnie and OC. So I reached out to them. I was like, hey guys, what's going on, man? It's been a long time, you know. And they have just been a role model for myself in all aspects, man. I mean, they got a beautiful family, the way they raise their daughters, and how they
young ladies,
maintain the life in jazz, and how they started a jazz organization, how they started, you know, jazz education and performances. And then when I came back here, I was led to do a similar thing, and so I immediately was like, looked up Charlotte's Way and said, what are y'all doing? Let's check this out. And just they have presented like a very high bar, a wonderful role model to follow for us, for myself, and for Cola Jazz organization. So they've just been fantastic. Yeah.
That is fantastic, man. You know, and you have been such an important part, not only with your organization, but just of everything that we've been involved with. And I know you were in, as I said, our second performance ever, you know, in the jazz room. Yeah, you were second up as we had the Miles Davis tribute, and you know, had it going. I think we were working on Tuesday nights at that point, man. You know, the weekends were just maybe a hopeful thing, you know, that we were looking ahead toward. But that, I remember we were on Tuesday nights at that point when you first came in with the Miles Davis tribute. So let's talk a little bit, since we've just passed another milestone birthday, no pun intended, for Miles. Let's talk a little bit about his influence, because you've done a couple of Miles Davis shows for us. You've been a part, of course, of our trumpet summits that we've had, but also let's talk a little bit about Miles, because you've done the regular Miles tribute. Then you've done something a little bit different for us as far as Miles. And you've also even brought in the didgeridoo too. I remember playing Jean-Pierre for us once, and I think you were using that. So let's talk a little bit about Miles's influence on you as a trumpeter.
Yeah, man. Well, you got a better memory than I do. I'm trying to think like, man, what did we play?
And then Jean-Pierre came in, and that was bad. You know, that in that second show, I think you were doing Modern Miles or something. We were doing something more
Right.
of the later years of the electric years, and you were, were bringing it on that, man.
Yeah, I had my wah pedal out and the effects on the trumpet and all that stuff. Yeah, that was a blast. Miles and Chet Baker are my earliest and main
Okay.
influences. Man, the way they played, the creativity of Miles. Well, Miles is actually the first trumpet sound that I heard in the jazz idiom. And this was, after high school, actually. I didn't just really discover jazz until after high school. I'm a late bloomer.
Wow. Okay.
So middle school, high school, all I knew was, marching band and concert band. After high school, a friend of mine, he was playing in a funk band and he wanted some horns in his funk band.
All right.
And so I went to a rehearsal and they're jamming out and I'm just sitting there waiting. He's played, go ahead and play. I was like, where's the music? And he goes, nah, you don't use music. You use your ears. You just play. So what do you mean? So anyway, he introduced me to jazz and improvisation and he took me back to his place. And I remember he put on Louis Armstrong, he put on John Coltrane, which I did not understand, but I liked the energy of it. And then he put on Miles Davis and it just like chills. It just hit me like that. It was transformative. It was, oh my God, Miles Davis playing Stella by Starlight.
Wow.
I had no idea trumpet could be so emotional and so vocal and deep. And so, yeah, so I just dug into everything Miles. The way he plays, it sort of lines up with basically my technical ability, right? Like I'm not a Freddie Hubbard technician on the trumpet. I'm not a Woody Shaw kind of guy.
Yeah.
So I immediately related more to Miles Davis's lines. It made more sense to me. And yeah, just, man. Yeah, he's so patient, he's soulful. He'll light it up, and then he'll just step back and just go, "Well, what'd you think about that?" Yeah. Miles is deep, man.
Yeah, man. Now it's interesting. I heard you also talk about Chet Baker being an influence, and I remember, the thing that Miles said when he first heard Chet Baker, and he was telling, everybody he'd been out to the West Coast, he'd run across, and he was telling people, "I just want you to know, there's this little white cat on West Coast. He gonna cut y'all up." So yeah, let's talk a little bit about Chet Baker and his influence on you, man. What attracted you to the sound of Chet Baker?
Yeah, I mean, you said it right there. His sound, the tone of his trumpet, just absolutely gorgeous. And again, his lines are very similar to like a Miles Davis's lines, particularly in Miles' earlier years.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely his tone, his melodicism, so melodic when he plays. Just melody. Miles and Chet really they had a mission to present the alternate melodies possible in the chord changes. They weren't about, I'm gonna get on a soapbox in a second, but
Go right ahead. Go ahead, it's yours, man.
I mean, they weren't all about okay, here's like this altered scale that sounds super hip over these changes. And I'm going to play it as fast as I can, with this hip little pattern that I memorized, which is cool. I mean, okay, so that's pretty flashy at first. I'm like, okay. So, I mean, I'm not going to hurry back and to put that on my record player at home.
Yeah.
I want to hurry back and put Miles and Chet Baker on because there's melody there, man. Maybe that's a little subjective. Maybe it's a little judgmental, but that's just where I'm coming from is like melody first, man. Always melody. And oftentimes like scales and patterns just don't serve melody. They just don't.
Yep.
Unless you take it to the next level, unless you take the concept of that pattern and apply it to a melodic approach, then you're really saying something with it. But so many players, and they're burning. Trust me. I mean, they in a jam session they would cut my ass left and right. But on a record, I don't know, man. On the record, I'm not running out to check that out.
No, I hear, it's got to be something for the record. It's got to be something that moves you, that when you're separated from anything about the live performance in front of you, what about that they've put down is going to connect with the listener, you know?
Right.
And I've felt the same way about it. You know, Miles has always been a favorite of mine for a lot of those same reasons. My older brother, God rest him, he, you know, first introduced me as a teenager to Miles. You know, I had heard at that point, I had heard Maynard Ferguson, you know, because a lot of the cats in my high school were into Maynard and yep, you know, and that just all the pyrotechnics here. And he said, no, man, he says, you know, let me introduce you to something, you know. And he first put on, at that point, he put on Kinda Blue for me, you know, and we started out right there, you know, at the best place to start and went from there. And he says, now listen to the way this cat plays, the way he is living, embodying what he plays, not just out there to show, yeah, look at me, I can, you know, look at how high I can play it. Yeah, I could go, you know, high C and then beyond, but what else have you got, you know?
Right.
And that's kind of brought me into Miles. Miles was my introduction to jazz. He was my introduction to Coltrane and so much more, you know, because Coltrane being in his side on that album more, and Cannonball. So in that one place, I got introduced to everybody, man. I got a lot of education. But this is not about me, so I'm going to stop talking about me. This is about Brother Mark Rapp.
My brother from another.
Yeah, that's right, brother. You got it, man. You know, so let's talk now about, since we've mentioned, of course, trumpet and influences on trumpet, we got to talk, man, about the didgeridoo. I've said it 3 times so I can get it out easily now. How did you first become involved? And I don't think we have any pictures even of the instrument to let people know what it looks like. I'm not sure if we have anything. I don't think we loaded anything up, but let's describe what the didgeridoo is to let folks know about it. Because I'll tell you one thing, a friend of mine, when she saw the promo for this, she didn't know that I knew you at all. She says, you know, he also plays the didgeridoo. Talk to him about that. Linda Meredith, if you're watching it all, you know, so that's who, you know, thought she was hitting me to it, but I was already aware. But so tell us about the didgeridoo, man.
Yeah, actually, I've got one on the wall there. I'll go grab it in a second. But the didgeridoo is an Australian instrument, and it's one of the world's oldest instruments. It's basically just a long, hollow tube. And the Aborigine, they use it really more for ceremonial purposes, and to get into meditative states, and to, you know, it's a very spiritual instrument. You know, and I readily will let people know I apologize to anyone who's authentically dealing with the didgeridoo, because I bastardize it left and right, but I love playing it. I love the sound of it. But I discovered the didgeridoo during my time in New Orleans.
Okay.
I played with a band called the New World Funk Ensemble. And so when they did everything from Fela Kuti to South African music to, I mean, everything. It was world music, New World Funk. They wrote their own material and stuff. So I joined the band, and we had a gig in a week's time. And they said, oh, by the way, we got 2 songs with the didgeridoo.
Oh, okay.
I was like, didgeridoo what? I don't even know what that thing is. And so I'll tell you where to get one, go get one, and learn how to play it for the weekend. So, okay. So I got a didgeridoo. I think it was on Wednesday or Thursday. And I figured out how to play the thing, and I played it on the gig. I didn't know how to be efficient with it. So I got done with that gig, and my abdominal muscles were just burning because I was just pumping so much air. And you don't really need that much air. I mean, it's just, it's just like light, calm air. But here, I'll grab one real quick.
All right. You know, we're here with Mark Rapp, who is grabbing his didgeridoo. You know, you definitely want to be a part of that. As we hear conversations with Curtis, here is the didgeridoo.
Let's see if I can even get it into the screen, into the shot.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Wow.
So you see, it's just a big hollow tube, right?
That's not like the horn of some animal, is?
No, it's not.
Okay, because I'm just making sure. So I'd hate to run into that boy, wherever he was. He's mad because it's gone. You know?
I know, right? It looks like a giant snake, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So this, and it's got the mouthpiece is made out of beeswax.
Wow.
So it's softer on the lips.
Wow.
And beeswax is also naturally antibacterial. So Yeah, because every time you got a didgeridoo, people go, "Oh, can I try? Can I try?"
It's like,
All these licks
yeah.
go on it. Yeah. I don't know if the microphone's picking that up.
No, oh, they picked it up, man. They picked it up, every bit of it, man. That is so cool.
Yeah, that's my didgeridoo, man.
Okay, but are there any, I don't know, as you said, it's mostly an Aboriginal ceremonial instrument. That's cool. So I'm going to ask this next question, perhaps out of ignorance. Is there anybody who you've heard playing it or recorded with it that may have influenced your style and the stuff you do with it?
Nah.
You're just doing your thing.
I just jump on and mess around with it and have a good time.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I did check out some cats. I'm trying to remember their names, man. There's a lot of like really killer didgeridoo players. I mean, there's some real deal guys who there's all these different techniques and stuff. Like there's a drop octave technique. So you can take that didgeridoo and the way you manipulate your throat and your mouth, you open it up and it'll literally drop the sound down an octave. Wow. So they do this and then do all kind of beatboxing on it, and they're humming through it, and they could do songs and stuff while they're droning. I mean, I could do quite a fair amount of that stuff, but now there's some guys who like they'll have this whole rig, and they have a percussion rig, a guitar, and a couple of didgeridoos on a stand, and they'll be playing the guitar and then percussion with their feet, and then the didgeridoo, and they're playing the strum and the guitar, and I mean, there's some really killer stuff out there with the didgeridoo. Yeah, it's getting dark. I'm going to turn on the light.
Okay, yeah, by all means, turn on the light. We're going to make it a little bit brighter. There he is. He's back. Okay, so, and I lost my train of thought on the question, so I'll go on to the next one. I always have 2 or 3 in my head. We'll go on to the next one. I'm talking about what you've done recording-wise. Of course, you got a few out on your own, under your own name, and playing as a guest with others. And we'll talk about also some of the things we've got coming up. But let's talk about at least the series that has given you, kind of by accident in some ways, some fame outside of the normal jazz world. And that's your association with, I believe it's called Jazz Goes Disney, or the Disney series that they have. Well, we found out, as we found out recently, it is a series. We thought it was a single album, but surprise, but as they say, but wait, there's more.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that part. I'm bearing the lead a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about your first involvement with that first Disney album, because a lot of heavy cats playing on that album. You are one of them, of course, but a lot of cats who were well known, before that, and you've also become a part of that. How did you come involved with the Disney series?
Yeah, so this was when I was living in New York. And man, like moving to New York is a whole story in and of itself. I mean, I moved from New Orleans, where I was playing with a couple of like the top bands, and we're doing tours and stuff. And at that time, New Orleans wasn't as inundated as it is now. It's not. It wasn't as crowded. There's maybe like a couple of dozen of trumpeters thick in New Orleans, and nowadays it's like 100 trumpeters thick. But anyway, I moved from New Orleans, thinking I'm kind of something. And I go to New York. I quickly find out.
Humbling experience, right?
Those New York cats, man, they cut you left and right. But I kept on pushing on, and eventually I settled into a steady weekly gig at this place called the Carnegie Club, and the Carnegie Club is right behind Carnegie Hall, so on 56th and 7th. And we had a regular gig there, and Verve Records was right around the corner. And oftentimes those executives and producers and stuff would come to the Carnegie Club after work for a cocktail before heading home, or there was also a cigar bar. They'd smoke cigars and stuff. And so this one guy came in a number of times, and he liked what I was doing there. And his name was Jason Olane. And so Jason produced my debut record. It wasn't for Verve. It was for an independent release, Paved Earth Music out of Brooklyn. So Jason was very influential in getting me to a larger scene. So because of that debut record, I got invited to perform at the Newport Jazz Festival, started playing the Blue Note, the Jazz Standard. We played the Fillmore. It really got me out there.
Yeah.
And then after that, a couple years later, so then I had actually, let me see if I get, yeah, I had actually moved to Geneva, Switzerland at this point. I moved to Europe.
Just moved to Switzerland. I like the way you put that.
Yeah, well, there's a whole other story with that. But,
okay. All right.
No, it was great at the time. It was great.
Okay. All right.
The ending of it sucked, but it was great getting there.
It's what it is, man.
Yeah, so I moved, and then Jason hit me up and gave me an invitation. He said, "Look, Disney they've been doing this jazz meets Disney concept. They've done a couple of records in the past where they're going to do it again. They're inviting all these jazz artists to come in and do some arrangements and record. And we've got some, A-list names in there. We've got a few up and comers that we're inviting. We want you to be one of them."
Okay.
So, great, man. Cool. So we worked up a few arrangements, went into the studio, laid down 3 tracks. We actually got chosen and picked to be on the record. And then come to find out, it was Roy Hargrove on this record, Dave Brubeck on this record, Esperanza Spalding, The Bad Plus, Halad Hexelman. I mean, just like, wow, freaking Roy Hargrove's on this record.
Yeah.
What? Diane Reeves. I mean, just, and then like Mark Rapp.
Hey, you are up there with them, man. You were there because you deserve to be, brother.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so they picked our arrangement of Circle of Life, the Elton John tune.
Yep.
And we're lucky track 13. We close out the CD. And it was fantastic. It was just an incredible thing. Huge honor. And I think it may have been the last recording that Dave Brubeck did, because he passed away right after that. Wow. So anyway, so fast forward.
Yeah.
So Claire, my wife, she's here with the baby. She'll say, "Hey, I better not say, hey, HomePod machine." If I say it, it's going to do it. So, hey, play Mark Rapp radio. And so it'll pull up Mark Rapp radio on Spotify, and it plays through a bunch of my different tracks. And so she's hanging out at home with the baby, and she has my tracks going on. And I come home, and then we're hanging out, and all of a sudden I hear dee-doo-doo-dee-doo, dee-doo-doo-dee-doo, dee-doo-doo-dee-doo-dum, just bibbidi-bobbidi.
Bo, yeah.
All right, so and I'm listening. I'm going, damn, that sounds like my arrangement. I'm listening. I was like, that's my arrangement. I recorded that back in like 2014 or 2013. It's like, but they never released it. It's like, where? I said, where did you get that from? She goes, I'm just listening to Mark Rapp radio. So I said, hey, Google, what's the name of that tune? And Google said, Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, Mark Rapp, Disney Jazz. I said, okay. So I went on Spotify. Sure enough, there's a volume 2 Disney Jazz that they released with 2 or 3 more Roy Hargrove tracks on there. 2 of my arrangements, Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo and Baby Mine from Dumbo.
Oh, okay.
And so like all these tracks that didn't get released on the first one came out now. No one knew about it. They didn't tell any of the artists. So I hit up Jason Oley and I said, hey, man, because he produced that record. I said, did you know they released volume 2? He said, I had no idea. So he called up his connect at Disney, say, hey, what's going on with this? Oh, yeah, no, we had it on the shelf. We just wanted to put it out there. Okay. Why didn't you let any of the artists know? Whatever. And so I tell him, I said, Jason, man, we're just coming out of COVID. Like all of us artists have had a very difficult time. Disney could have done a really cool thing and said, hey, we're releasing this record. We're going to raise money for jazz artists. We're going to give it to Jazz Foundation or give it to us or whatever, man. Like whatever, support something with this asset instead of just ghost releasing it. Right. But so anyway, Jason threw it out at them and never heard back. So they just dropped it and
just dropped it right. So definitely I'm going to check it out now that I've become aware of it, because I do have that first Disney Jazz album, enjoying and been playing on my station, not only your track, but a number of the fine jazz arrangements there. I mean, for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, I'll just tell you, at least for the first volume, this is not what you think. It's not kiddied down or anything. What has happened is Verve and all these great artists like Mark Rapp have taken the songs associated with Disney films from the older two, as you remember talking about Circle of Life, that comes from Lion King.
Yep.
And, you know, what they've done is then, you know, put them into some serious straight ahead jazz arrangements. And you got a lot of great things going on there. So it can be an association for you who may have grown up with a lot of those movies like I did and dug that, or some way to even introduce your young ones who might be familiar with the tunes to something that is real jazz, the straight ahead stuff, you know. So check that out, Disney. And now we hear there is a volume 2, and that you're saying is only available digitally. Is that correct, Mark?
Yep, on Spotify.
Okay, it looks like it's Spotify only for that. But if you
that's what they said. That's what they said. It's only on Spotify. Although earlier today I was searching and I was clicking around pretty quickly, but I swear I saw something about it being on Amazon Music as well. So I'm not sure, but anyway, we were a work for hire that day, so we don't get any royalties or anything. We got paid that one day, and that was that.
So anything that happens goes straight into Disney's pockets. Well, they're very poor, so I guess, you know, they. Oh, I'll never get into Disney World again. But
I know, right?
The mouse knows my name, so you know. Anyway, man, you know, let's talk about what's going on with you now, man. You know, you mentioned, of course, COVID and everything going on with that, and that, as you said very accurately, I know you know more than most how it's affected, you know, living, working musicians such as yourself. What have you been doing this last, I guess, year and a half or so since this thing caught us all by surprise to keep things going? How have you managed to keep the music alive? How have you managed to keep things really thriving the way you have?
Yeah, when the pandemic hit, it was within a 24 to 48 hour period. All performances were canceled. I mean, I was text messages, email, phone calls, canceled. So it went from like having gigs 3-4 months out or whatever to having nothing for the foreseeable future.
Dang,
and everyone was in that boat. Everybody. Now, fortunately, I have a history in the online space. So when I was living in New York, I taught myself how to do web development. And so I was, you know, working a full-time day job, web development, practicing during lunch, playing the Blue Note on the weekend, you know. So I'm familiar with the matrix, right? So when this hit, it was like, immediately shift to everything online. We're going to pivot. We're going to keep jazz alive. If we can't do it in person, we're going to do it online. So it was, I think it was like that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, everything went to hell. And so Wednesday night, we held our first live stream concert. And since then, it's been every Wednesday night. I think we only missed maybe 2 Wednesdays in the course of over a year. We produced all these, you know, hour-long videos. We did content for young people. We partnered up with the library, did some videos for them. We were giving musicians work. We were giving them a safe space to work and to keep the art form alive, to keep them creative, to keep the audience engaged, and so on and so forth. It was amazing. Like the musicians, as much as they enjoyed getting some money and getting paid and whatnot, the first thing that they said, "Thank you for giving me a creative outlet. I was dying. I need to create. I need it." And that's who we are as artists. Like, if you're not creating, man, you're dying.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it was really powerful. So yeah, we did an entire jazz camp online. We did a week-long virtual jazz camp. We had over 48 courses that we offered. We had everyone from Delphio Marcellus to Dave Liebman to Don Braden, Wes Warm Daddy Anderson. We had local teachers. We had teachers from California, and we had students tuning in from France and Canada and Brazil and, you know, all across the Southeast. to our little jazz camp here in Columbia. So we did that virtually. We partnered up with the South Carolina Jazz Festival, and we produced their all virtual jazz festival. So they hit me up like literally, I think it was 3 weeks before they wanted to launch their festival. So in 3 weeks' time, I put together 14 concerts for a 7-day run, 2 concerts a night for 7 days. And we featured Don Braden, we featured Delphio Marcellus, we featured all the cats. We had a lot of local groups. We did, so we supported our own local, and we did international. We had a group do a concert from Brazil. So like an international jazz festival, all virtual, all online. So we kept that alive for them. So it's been an epic year. It's been very, very, very busy. I mean, my work didn't stop. It's kind of funny because
that's great.
People are like, oh man, so excited to be performing again or to be, working again. And I'm thinking, damn man, I need a vacation.
You never stops, man. Well, that's a blessing in itself, man, to continue to work and provide work for other great artists. And, I know some of the great artists that you're associated with on the Cola jazz scene, and they're around in Columbia, in that area, who are jazz room fans and our JazzArts Charlotte supporters will also be familiar with. And, like Robert Gardner and Amos Hoffman, who, friend of mine, shout out to my brother, my Israeli brother Amos. And let's talk a little bit about your work with those cats, some of the local cats. Let's talk about how did you and Amos first come in contact with each other?
Oh man, just being in the scene, fortunate. I'm looking at my glasses, man. I've got these blue blocking glasses, and I've got like this crazy reflection on my lenses.
It's kind of hip, man. It's kind of a Matrix thing,
Yeah, we'll roll with that, man.
Yeah, let's just go with
it's in me.
It's all good.
Just from being on the scene, Amos, longtime New York cat, and his wife is actually from Columbia, and she got a really wonderful job opportunity. So they, moved the family to Columbia, and we were very fortunate to get him. And so as soon as he came on the scene, it was immediately just like, oh man, we got to get you working and playing, and so he very quickly plugged in. It was working a lot, and Amos was just an incredible cat to work with. He's so accomplished, such an authority of his instrument, authority of the music, and he's the nicest, most humblest guy, and he's got the heart of a teacher. I mean, I went over to his house one time to shed with him to practice, and I was like, so what are you working on, man? And I thought he was going to tell me, well, sometimes he tells me some complicated stuff like, oh man, I'm working on all these, sharp fives over a major chord and this altered this, or blah, blah, blah. And he goes, man, I'm working on my major scales, like stuff you learn in 7th grade.
Yeah.
So what do you mean you work on your major scales? Yeah, man, let's practice our major scales. I said, okay. And man, so it's not just major scales up and down. No, you play him in quarter notes, and then 8th notes, and then triplets, and then 16th notes, and then what do you got? 5 notes at a time. What is that? Quadruplets? What is that? Quintuplets, right? And then sextuplets, right?
Yeah.
But the metronome always stays the same, so you got to fit that in with the metronome. So you're playing 5 notes to a beat, right? Yeah. And then so we got through that, the normal bottom to top and down, but he goes, okay, let's flip it top down. And man, let me tell you something. You try to do that exercise, just that simple thing, top to bottom. Well, I felt like I was beginning again. I thought I was back in 7th grade. He took me to school on major scales. So, okay. You can never get away from the fundamentals. You've always got to deal with fundamentals.
That's it, man. And I think that's something there for a lot of young musicians to remember. We've had conversations recently. I know we've had Jason Marcellus on with us last month, and one of the things Jason was talking about with the young cats is how a lot of them, may be missing those fundamentals, or something has happened in the background where they've they've learned, they've got a little proficiency, and they tried to jump line in a few things and miss the fundamentals that a lot of cats who really come up and done the hard work have missed out on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Very true. Very true.
Let's talk well, we're going to get to questions from the audience. If there are some in the chat, we'll check on that. But I don't know if we have now at this point. I had found not too long before the show this great clip with you and Amos, and he's playing the guitar and the oud, which is another instrument that he is very proficient at, and I know, and you brought along in that one the trumpet and the didgeridoo. I'm just going to check and see if we do have that available. If we do, we'd like to see it. If not, man, we're just going to keep on kicking it, to see what's out there. But I'm just going to check, is that available? Because I can't seem to see the chat. Strange things are going on my end technically tonight. So I'm...
Oh, there we go. Let's see. We can see it. I just can't hear it. Let's see. We can see it. I just can't hear it. We can see it. I just can't hear it. There we go. There we go. That's some Miles Davis influence right there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we're both working with the loop pedal on this. We looped up percussion, looped up the didgeridoo. Then I had the effects on the trumpet, and he's playing the oud. Yeah, man.
Right? It's such a killing melody.
Very cool. Now, Mark, can you hear me now, then?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, because before I had gotten, when I was looking for video and chat, I somehow got kicked out. But glad to be back. But I did catch the performance there. Once again, killing there from Amos Hoffman and Mark Rapp, just doing great things in the entire region, in our entire region of the Carolinas, down in Columbia, here in Charlotte, and everywhere beyond. Just some of the baddest musicians around. Let me see. I don't want to cheat the audience at this point. So if there are any questions that you have for Mr. Mark Rapp, if you wouldn't mind, if you put them into the chat, And as I see them, I certainly will pass along. So if you have any questions, now is the time to ask, because if not, I'm just going to keep asking them. So,
well, I'll tell you this, it was
yeah,
very poignant that you found that video and put it out there, because it's given the time that we're living in right now, so Amos is Israeli. Amos
yeah.
is from Israel.
Hmm.
And that melody that we were playing was a Palestinian melody
Hmm.
from Palestine. So
Hmm.
obviously, like,
Yeah.
so it's just another example of jazz pulling us through hard times and showing us that even though we're different, we're so very much the same, and we so can get along.
Hmm.
We really, really can. We can find that groove. We can find that swing. We can find that common ground to stand upon. If an Israeli cat can celebrate and perform and play a Palestinian song, and vice versa, like, man, there's so much hope in the music that can be given to the entire world, man. I'm telling you, jazz is a powerful medicine, man. It's powerful. As soon as you start digging into what jazz stands for, the ideals of jazz, the values of jazz. I mean, it's we were talking earlier. It's about listening. It's about being confident in who you are, confident enough to respect and celebrate someone else doing their thing,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. Anyway, that was very poignant that you found that video.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm glad we did find it, because I had so many things going on here. I want to get our question here. It says, Mark, could you talk a little bit more about yourself as an educator? So, yes, if you would talk about yourself and how your work as an educator, some of the things you've done, some of the folks you've worked with,
Yeah.
even maybe some advice for budding young musicians.
Yeah, right on. Well, education and reaching young people is a passion, a drive of mine. I mean, it's just one of the main reasons I've founded the Cola Jazz Foundation. We had opportunity to partner up with Jazz at Lincoln Center a couple of years ago, and we beta tested their after-school program, their after-school curriculum. And we were one of just like a dozen organizations in the country to be selected to beta test this. So we were able to go into the schools, and I mean, we would drive out into the middle of nowhere and show these kids Louis Armstrong and Ella Fitzgerald and Miles Davis and to show them this creativity. But the lessons that this curriculum was showing kids is about finding their inner creativity, about how to work together, about how to recognize your emotions and to not to be afraid of them, but to deal with them in a healthy fashion. What does angry sound like, or what does angry look like? And let's draw it. Let's explore angry. Let's put it into a blues. So, and then we taught them the form of the blues. Like, you make a statement, and then you find a resolution to those statements. So you don't just stay angry, right? There's always, you got to find that resolution. And that's a powerful lesson for young people. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't get along with your classmate, or for some reason they look funny or look different, so you're not talking to them, jazz doesn't teach you to stay in that state. Jazz teaches you to recognize that in yourself and in the other person. Hey, there's conflict here. You don't just stay there. Now let's find that third line. Let's find that resolution, right?
Yeah.
And there's a great picture. We also go into the children's hospital, and we work with the children's that are there, like, battling cancer and stuff, man. That's I got some incredible stories about playing in the hospital and those kids. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I mean, come on, look at that kid is smiling. Like, if you were laid up in a wheelchair like that with both your legs broken, I wouldn't be smiling. You know what I mean? But we gave him some New Orleans music, and he was just as happy as can be, man. It was incredible. So those sort of things. Education is a passion of mine. And then, I got a chance to work with them. Wow, look how young everyone looks.
Oh man, looking at some of these kids who are doing some incredible things now. Looking this, I'm guessing this must be from one of our jazz arts camps a few years back. My goodness, there's Veronica Leahy, and right next to you, she's doing some fine work, and
she's incredible.
Yeah, she is, and a few other of our young folks. Arielle Mejia, yes, I recognize him over there on trumpet. He's doing some incredible things.
That dude is
just
scary, man. He is like a reincarnated Clifford Brown. Like, he is phenomenal.
Wow.
That little kid, holy crap, he can play. Like, I would, if we're in a jam session, I would not stand on stage beside him. I was, you take it, man. I will listen to you. He's incredible. That dude,
Arielle, a couple of months back, as we were renewing our summer series and had an outdoor concert here back in April, for Jazz Appreciation Day, on the 30th. Arielle joined some of the current All-Stars on stage, and man, oh man, he is he has grown so much. He was, very good, had a lot of potential then, but he is definitely going into it now. And I hope he sees this and hears what Mark Rapp has said about him. I mean, comparing him to Brownie, dude, man, that's
dude,
that's high praise, man.
I heard that from the first time I heard that kid. Like, when he was like it's tiny in that picture, I was like, oh my God, this is Clifford Brown. He's come back. All right, man, it's incredible. So another thing about the education, though, real quick. The way that I teach jazz and jazz improvisation, what I like to do is teach so a lot of people will teach a lick, right? Here's a nice line that goes through a 2-5-1. Okay, now put in all 12 keys, get that under your fingers, and then they just kind of stop there. Well, I like to say, okay, well, why does that particular line sound good? Why? Look at how it's approaching that chord tone, right? There's a particular tension and release that's happening in that line. Let's really drill in and find what that is. Let's find the concept of this line. And so now you're not improvising on memorized licks. You're improvising on concepts.
Okay.
It immediately becomes your own. It's just like us speaking a language. We learn how to talk. We learn how to formulate sentences. But I'm not going to sit here and have an interview with you and spit out a bunch of memorized jargon that I got out of 100 books that I read.
Yeah,
that would make no sense. It might be impressive, like I'm going to say, Abraham Lincoln shit or something, right?
Yeah.
Okay, wow, man, those big words, but it kind of makes sense to the conversation, but it kind of doesn't. It's but when you're presenting things conceptually, and you're improvising conceptually, you are truly coming from within yourself, who you are as an artist, right? So that's how I teach. It's a slower process, and it takes you longer to sound good.
But still, it's more important as an educator that you're getting, once again, as you talked about, getting the young folks back to the basics, man, understanding the rudiments of what they're doing,
Right. Yeah, exactly. I'm seeing another question down there. Yeah. Well, any go-to band musician
that you're listening to these days? All right.
Yeah. Well, honestly, when I want to listen to some music, I think the majority of the time I'm saying, "Hey Google, play Dexter Gordon." I'm always listening to Dexter.
On my top 5, brother, of saxophone players. All time, man.
Because Dexter is so melodic and soulful and laid back, and just, wow, what a thick, deep, rich sound. If I could get an ounce of Dexter's playing in my playing, that's so. Yeah, I'm I don't know.
LTD, baby.
Yeah, current modern stuff. I'll always listen. I love Terrence Blanchard. Wynton Marsalis, of course, man, cannot get enough. And unfortunately, he passed away, but Roy Hargrove is probably one of my most favorite improvisers of all time, Roy Hargrove. I don't know. That's really what I'm going to.
Okay. Before I ask any other questions, I'll defer to an audience member and their questions first. If there's none out there at this point, or as they come up, since you mentioned Wynton, let's talk a little bit about Cola Jazz. What's going on there? And I know you've had an association with Wynton. And also, Mark, just, because I love to support local artists besides yourself, besides Amos. Tell us about some of the other cats around here in the area. Some folks may have heard of them, some they may not have, that they should look out for, that they should support. Some of those you're associated with at Cola Jazz.
Yeah, well, there's a little known drummer by the name of O.C. Davis.
Never heard of him.
Nah, man, there's some killing cats around town, man. Around all of South Carolina, actually. You know, because of this live stream, we started doing a weekly radio show on South Carolina Public Radio, which is an affiliate of NPR. And every Sunday night at 8 o'clock, we're featuring a different musician from around the state. Everyone from Charlton Singleton over in Charleston, Shannon Hoover in Greenville.
Shannon, yes.
Yeah, Gino Castillo, who's out of Charleston as well. And then, you know, local people, actually Pete Neighbor, who's like a Benny Goodman, cat. Let's see, Shannon Pinckney, who's just a beautiful keyboard player. We've got incredible talent, even in like the smooth jazz R&B thing, like Brittany Turnipseed. She won the Apollo Theater amateur night competition. Okay. We just featured her, man. Oh man, there's just so many cats. Like Clyde Frazier runs this brass band called Partly Cloudy. I mean, they're doing incredible work, man. Like they're really active, man. Like they're out on the streets just playing, man, and like and getting communities and trying to uplift communities. Like Clyde Frazier's doing a lot of great work. And you got cats like Sam Edwards on bass, who's probably one of the like, I mean, he does remarkable bow solos that no one does, man. And he's probably the best bow artist on the East Coast. I mean, he's just incredible and so knowledgeable, man. He knows 1,000 tunes. It's incredible. And then there's cats who, like Greg Patterson, who's a guitar player. Greg Patterson, he's a full-time teacher at USC. He teaches Chinese literature, but he went to Berklee School of Music. All right, and he's like
Chinese literature. Wow.
And so, but he's like, Amos and Greg Patterson are like the guitar calls around town. But then you also, I mean, there's a lot of guitar players actually, like Zach Bingham's an incredible blues guitar player. You got Brendan Bull on drums. Brendan spent some time in New Orleans, came back here. Brendan's just tearing it up. Edwin Hamilton, he plays drums, keys, he sings. Oh man, Ed Fuqua now lives around here. He's a bassist from New York, now lives in town.
And didn't Brendan do a few jams with Amos a few months back? The drummer, or I may have mispronounced his name, but I know there was a drummer keyboardist that he was working with and did a thing. And I think you guessed it on something on that as well, didn't you?
Yeah. Their album. Yeah. Oh, that was actually with Edwin Hamilton. Yeah, they put out a record.
I mispronounced his name, but that's the cat I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Edwin Hamilton, you and Amos did a pretty interesting piece there. Kind of cool, man.
Yeah, and there's smooth jazz guys like Dante Lewis is killer, man. Dante's amazing. Terrence Young, guitar player, he puts on a hell of a show. I mean, I'm not really a smooth jazz guy, but man, there's an art form to it. I'll tell you.
Respect for what they're doing,
man. There's a language to it. I did a recording session with a couple smooth jazz guys, and I'm thinking, 1-2 chord vamps. I got this, and I start playing. I'm going, man, for some reason, this just doesn't sound as good as what you guys are doing. Because there's a language that they play in smooth jazz. There's a particular approach. There's a phrasing to it, and I didn't study. So I had to do a couple of takes.
Hey, but you learned. Gabe, it was a different experience for you, man. That was so cool. So I wanted to also. So we talked about Winton. We talked about that aspect, and so what? I do want to mention, because I do remember them a couple of years back, and I don't know if they're available now. I know since you mentioned so many of these artists, didn't you and somehow through Cola Jazz put out a compilation or a collection, something on CD or a couple of CDs, if I'm not mistaken? And if they are they still available? And if so, how could the audience get a copy if they want?
Yeah, we have a volume 1 and volume 2, and that's really how Cola Jazz started, was to highlight all the local guys, and we put a compilation CD together and just to feature everybody. So the volume 1, I'm gonna have to make it available digitally. We've run out of physical copies, but volume 2 is on Spotify. Volume 2, Cola Jazz volume 2. But yeah, back to Winton, man. We just had our jazz festival, and we brought Winton to town with his septet, and I got a chance to during the sound check. I got to play Winton's book because he was busy doing interviews, so I got to sit in with the band and play Winton's parts while they rehearsed. And then he brought me up for the last tune to sit in and play the second line with him. Just had a blast, man. He's such
he's an amazing cat,
guy,
man.
So friendly, so nice, and just man, it was incredible.
Oh yeah, so that is incredible. With the Cola Jazz Volume 1 and 2. So you're saying, because I'm hoping, trying if we can make it if it is available this time, the money wouldn't go to Disney, brother. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just hoping, that we can do something. I want to make sure if it is available besides Spotify, because I know, hey, Spotify has its place, but it doesn't put money in artists' pockets.
Right.
People will starve off of Spotify, real talk. So just trying to find out. So if it does become available, should they look to Amazon or Apple Music, some of the places that actually sell downloads or something like that? Would that be a good place for them to go? Or should they go to your website?
Yeah, just check in on the website, colajazz.com, colajazz.com. Just check in there. Just drop me a line. Just hit me on the contact. It comes straight to me. Yeah, but I'll, you know what? Actually, sign up for the e-newsletter, and then as it becomes available, you'll get it.
There you go. Because like I said, we're not putting money in Disney's pockets. We're putting, we want to do it, for Mark Rapp, for the bad cats who, in Cola Jazz, who play all around the area. And so we want to pay respect to and love to the musicians who are doing it, and that you can reach out and see here in our local area. So it's so important that the great cats here, now that things are opening up a little bit more, that people do come out and see y'all. So we're going to wrap up what we're doing here today, because our time has come to an end. But Mark Rapp, my brother from another mother, it has been so good, man, just to sit down and have this virtual conversation. It's been, I know, about a year since we've been hoping to make this happen, and I'm so glad, man, that we're able to get here together. So thank you. Don't go anywhere yet. We'll make sure if you have any last words. But before we do that, I do want to let you know, since we're talking about live performance, I don't know if we have anything on it, what's coming up in our Jazz Room Summer Series this Friday. We have coming up, it's going to be all about the bass. I do believe tickets are still available through thejazzarts.org. And you can go get tickets, come join us outside. I will be your MC for that evening, but don't let that stop you from coming. Okay, so make sure, if you are able to join us, go to thejazzarts.org. Ron Brendel will be there. We'll have some other great denizens of the bass that will be with us, and just enjoy the music, enjoy the food trucks, enjoy everything about being out and enjoying live jazz and being around people, man. There is nothing like that, to be out there and just enjoy music the way it was intended to be as we move toward a better time and opening up. But Brother Mark Rapp, it has been a pleasure. Thank you for being on. Thank you for being with us and enlivening this hour that we've had to spend together. My name is Curtis Davenport. We'll be back with you with Conversations with Curtis once again next month. But until then, you can hear Mark Rapp and other great living jazz artists on the place where I hang out all the time. And that is Kurt Jazz Radio on Live 365 and at kurtjazz.com. Real jazz lives there right now. So till the next time, folks, enjoy. Please be safe, live for jazz, and just have a great beginning to your summer. Good night, everybody.